You are listening to the Critical Mass Radio Show, Orange County's business talk show, focused on exploring topics of interest to CEOs who are leading middle market companies. With your host, Richard Franzi.
Hello and welcome to Orange County's longest running business talk show. And yes, I am your host, Rick Franzi. And boy, do we have a good show planned for you today. Why, do you ask? Because we have a twofer. We have an entrepreneur and a nonprofit leader all rolled up in the same person. That's Meghan Medlin. She is the founder and CEO of Medlin Workforce and Reentry Solutions, as well as H.I.R.E, H-I-R-E. Meghan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, I am too. Let's start with the for-profit business. So describe for me what it is that Medlin Workforce and Reentry Solutions does, Meghan.
Yes, quite a mouthful. Again, we
right?
like the big long titles around here.
It's all my fault. I'm stumbling over everything here today.
So yeah, my for-profit company is Medlin Workforce and Reentry Solutions. It's a consulting company where we specialize in workforce development and anything reentry. So anything with regards to anyone who is criminal or justice involved, we kind of specialize in. So we work with employers, government agencies, nonprofits, and help with pretty much anything related to those topics. So we do staff training, we do grant writing, grant reporting, capacity building, program development. If an employer is looking to expand their workforce or to hire people who have backgrounds, we help them with that. So teaching about fair chance hiring, developing programs, all that sort of stuff. We've also conducted landscape studies, and we bleed a little bit into the homeless kind of realm as well. So pretty much anything within those topics, we have specialists in. We work nationwide, and we've been around for just over 5 years now. And so we are thriving and growing and excited to keep working with more people out there.
So how did you get involved in this area of the economy? What was it from an entrepreneur's perspective, your background? Or how did you end up here as a career for you?
Yeah, it's been kind of a crazy journey, to tell the truth. And I ended up here kind of by accident, truth be told. I actually had a double science degree coming out of college, trying to figure out kind of what to do with my life, and got into sales. I was selling pretty much everything under the sun in different industries. Got into staffing and recruiting, which was great. I loved it. And that was when the recession hit in 2008, 2009. And so at that time, it was kind of like, okay, well, I'm working at a job that's based on commission. We're not really getting commission because people aren't getting jobs. And I found a job at a nonprofit here in Orange County that was looking for like a job developer. And I was like, perfect. Sounds great. It's a set salary. Like I had no idea what I was walking into. And we were working with young adults who had various barriers to success, if you will. And so we were providing workforce training, holistic wraparound services, and then help getting them linked up with employment. So I oversaw the employment and education department. And during that time is when I just really fell in love kind of with this population and with this work. And so working with young adults who had, all these challenges trying to get work, and they're competing against people with master's degrees or all this experience. And maybe they had some sort of like gang or criminal involvement in their background, and they're just wanting a chance. And so I quickly became their advocate out in the community, which kind of snowballed into all sorts of other things. I ended up leading the county's reentry partnership concurrently to working in my job. I got my master's degree in this field. And so I ended up branching out in 2019 and starting my own consulting company and then kind of going from there. But yeah, I fell into it totally on accident.
Wow. But you found your passion, it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely love it.
And I think we're all better off a little bit because you have. And so I said at the top of the show, we have a two for today because you're a founder of both a for-profit, which we've been talking about, and a nonprofit, which I would kind of like to talk about with you now. So what did you see? What was needed that you couldn't service with the for-profit business that you decided the right vehicle to do that is a nonprofit entity? So talk to me a little bit about that journey.
Yeah. And so again, like I shared, I was working in nonprofit, and I was also concurrently running the county's reentry partnership, which I had turned into a nonprofit as well. And that organization really worked to align service providers within the community and break down silos. So how do we all work better together? How do we better service people so that way they're not falling through the cracks? And so I left in 2018 just for kind of a mental health break, to be honest, because it was a bit of overload doing all of it. I was out for about 8-9 months and realized my heart was back in this field. And that's when I had launched my consulting company. So during that time, the reentry partnership that I used to run, they had actually gone under. And so fast forward in 2020, in the height of COVID, people were being early released from jail and prison due to obviously the confines, and trying to keep people safe. But they were getting early released out to the community where most organizations were closed, operating virtually. It was kind of chaos, right? Like none of us really knew what was going on or how long we were going to be locked up or locked in. I guess not locked up, but locked in. And the opposite. And so my phone was blowing up. I was getting a lot of calls because I used to be known as the resource person in the community. And so my phone was blowing up and people were asking like, hey, where can we send people? What can we do? And I just really saw the need in the community for that kind of that hub, if you will, to be able to refer people out to employment. So I decided to launch H.I.R.E because I couldn't service people under my for-profit company. People coming out, needing assistance don't have money to pay for assistance, obviously. So we created H.I.R.E and we have two main focuses. One side is really still the community building side. So how do we better align service providers? And the second side is the direct service side. So serving people who are justice involved, helping them get linked up with employment resources and that sort of stuff. So yeah, it kind of developed out of necessity, if you will. And I fell right back into running two organizations. But it has really taken off and we're really kind of meeting that need in the community.
So let's sit for a minute and talk about that journey, that reentry journey. I think many in my audience may not be familiar with kind of what that's like, what the challenges are, what getting a job might mean for someone who's been incarcerated. So can you just kind of expand upon the ecosystem, if you will, of the reentry process for us?
Yeah, definitely. And so it's somewhat of a complex process, if you will, right? Because you have people who are one time, kind of committed oopsie, if you will, right? And go in the system and probably are never going to go back again, right? That was enough for them. They're like, I don't want to see that again. And, but now they have something on their record and they need assistance. You have people who are cycling in and out of the system for one reason or another. Maybe it's addiction, maybe it's necessity, poverty, all these other kind of reasons where people are kind of coming in and out of the system. And then you may have people who have committed more severe crimes and have been in the system for a really long period of time, so decades of their life, and are now coming out. And every single one of those people have completely different needs, right? So some people need to get stabilized and they need to get housing. Some people need to get sober. Some people need to get training. Some people just need a resume update, right? And to get help out. And so we work with all clients, all backgrounds, and to be able to help them with those needs, get them linked up with the resources that they need to help get them stabilized and then get to employment so that way they're successful. And to answer your question about kind of the ecosystem, just about the need here, in Orange County, we actually have one of the top 10 jail systems in the entire nation, which most people are not aware of because, we think of Orange County, we think of Disneyland and the beaches and all this stuff, and don't realize that we have 50 to 55,000 people annually coming out from our jails to our local communities. And so again, a lot of those are repeat people as well that are cycling in and out, but this is a large volume of people. And that's not including people that are returning home from prison every year as well. And so the need out there is huge. And if we're not addressing these needs and we're not helping people get jobs or get housed, they're going to be returning back to what they know, which is crime, right? And then that's costing us all money, incarcerating people or rehabilitating people or, whatever else that looks like. And so we really see that need to be able to help people get back on their feet, get stable, get that chance, and get out there in the workforce, right? And then it's beneficial for this because to answer the other part of your question is challenges finding jobs is there's a lot of stigmas that come with having a background. So if you apply back previously before 2018, there used to be that box on an application, right? Do you have a felony? Yes or no? And generally, if you check that box, you automatically went in the trash, right? No matter what your background was,
right,
how great you were, you went in the trash. And so people found that that was discriminatory. And so they were able to take that box off to at least give a person a chance to be able to present themselves to an employer. And so what we do is help them kind of put that best foot forward, both in training them, but also working with employers to really be able to match them up. So we can kind of vouch for them to the employer, right? To say like, hey, we're working with this person. They've done X, Y, Z, turning their lives around, and they're trying to get that foot in the job, foot in the door. Because it can be very challenging when they have a background. And if they've been out for a long period of time, maybe they don't have skills anymore. Maybe they have to change professions. Like there's so many challenges for people kind of coming out of incarceration back to the workforce. So,
well, I would imagine with a population of 55,000 people that could potentially need your part of your service or all of your services that you offer, there's a wide range of skill sets and experience. But is there an area of specific skills that you found in either H.I.R.E or in your for-profit that companies that have these types of jobs have been successful in integrating reentry folks into their businesses? Any certain kind of jobs or skills that you're finding are, transferable?
Yeah. So at the end of the day, again, I was in staffing and recruiting prior to coming into reentry. And so I've been doing employment for, close to 20 years now. And I can honestly tell you, I don't care what employer you talk to, what industry, they want someone who's going to show up on time, get their work done, and have a good attitude, right? Like they can train skills. Mm-hmm. And so for us, that's the majority of what it is training people who maybe don't have that background or experience, training them those skills or those behaviors so that they will be successful at a job. We place people into every industry. So I'm a firm believer if somebody wants to get a job, we can help them get a job. On my consulting side, we did a landscape study in the healthcare industry 2 years ago to really look at, the needs within healthcare, because obviously COVID hit healthcare pretty hard. And so a lot of healthcare organizations don't have employees, right? A lot of people left the industry. A lot of people got burnt out. So it was like, how do we tap into some of these populations that have those skills and talents, but are often being overlooked because they may have a conviction on their background? And so that's what we do, is just work with employers to find out their needs and then help match them up with that candidate. But yeah, for the most part, like transferable skills, it just depends. We do have people who have certain convictions that can't go back to the field they used to be in. So we try to take the skills that they have and how do we market them into this new field, or this new industry that they're able to go into. But again, for the most part, employers are looking for people who have good attitudes, who are going to show up and get their job done. So that's something we can definitely help with and, coach people with.
You shared a really powerful statistic with me about the impact for someone who's been incarcerated, who's been released, who finds a job. Can you share that with our audience?
Yeah, definitely. So people who general kind of recidivism rates, which recidivism is meaning people have committed crime and within generally 3 years, they'll commit another crime and then go back to the system. That's generally pretty high. Here in California, it's usually around like 70% and up. And however, if somebody is able to find a job within 3 months of release, recidivism goes down to about 6%. And that varies within the first year. So anytime within the first year, if someone's getting, full-time employment where they're able to stay out, recidivism rates just continue dropping. And so something we look at is anyone can get a job. Again, I've been in staffing for so long. I see people get jobs that probably should not have jobs. That said, though, like, are you able to keep that job though? Right. Okay. That's the most important part, because anyone can go get a job, right? Like we can all put on our good face and be like, hey, I can do this. And then you walk in, you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. Right. So what we try to do is really prepare that person for the job to make sure they're successful, because what that's going to do is reduce that recidivism rate for that person, for the community. And so what that means is we have to get the person stabilized. So addressing mental, behavioral health, professional skills, pretty much anything, right? Get them stabilized within housing, within food, with basic needs sort of stuff. And so once we can do that is generally when someone's going to be more successful in a job. And then we also provide ongoing support. So once you get the job, we're not just like, good luck, goodbye, right? Like call us later. We're really trying to make sure that they're ongoing successful, because once someone's in a job, I think we can all relate. Things happen, right? My car breaks down. My child gets sick. Childcare is closed. Like schools has issues. Like all these things happen. My relationship broke up. I lost my housing. And so how are you able to deal with those to be able to continue to keep your job? Because we all know once you lose your job, your problems are only going to get worse, right? And so what we try to do is really support that person through that journey, so that way they're able to maintain and stay within their job. And then if they get to the point where they want to, grow or advance within their job, we help them with that too. So if they need like additional skills training, or support, we can help them with that too, because we really want them to be successful long term and not just checking a box saying, yay, they got a job. We did our job. We really want to make sure that they're successful long term.
Megan, as you were answering that, I was thinking, or at least the thought hit me, tell me if this is accurate, but from an employer's perspective, you're possibly hiring somebody who really appreciates the fact that they have this job because they recognize the value of that job, and they're all about maybe changing their life. But it also sounds like the new employee comes with related services that maybe help them to stay a good employee, which hiring somebody just generally off the streets, you may not get that level of support, which I think would be an advantage potentially for the employer to know that there's support services out there for this new person that is hired. Is that true?
It's completely true. And I mean, I think we all know, and again, I have a for-profit company too, right? I know how challenging it is to hire people and keep people, right? And sometimes I almost wish gosh, I wish some of my people, right, would have support to go through this stuff, and so it definitely is an added bonus for the employer that you don't just get, an employee, right, who's ready to work, but you have us who are able to support not only the employee, but the employer. Because at the end of the day, I'm also a business owner. I also understand employers, like you have a bottom line, you have a job to get done, right? And so if your employee is constantly showing up late or having an attitude or smoking in the bathroom or any of the number of things I've heard over the years, right? Like we're here to either help support that employee, or if it's just not a good time for them to have a job, then we can try to help backfill that position for you as well and help you save time and money and all that sort of stuff as well. And so I've had that so many times over the years where employers are able to call us and let us know, like, hey, I noticed so-and-so showing up late. Can you call them, find out what's going on? And we're able to kind of support them with stuff that employers shouldn't have to, in the workplace. So it's definitely an added bonus that we're there to support that person, make sure they're successful, as well as support the employer, right? And for what they're trying to do with their business too.
So we're spending a lot of time talking about H.I.R.E, which is Hub for Integration, Reentry, and Employment. And I know that it takes money to provide these services. And I know that the people that need your services aren't the funding source. So could you talk to us a little bit about barriers to the boardroom and what that is for your organization?
Yes, definitely. So being a small nonprofit, we were founded in late 2020. So we're still a pretty grassroots organization. We actually only have 2 part-time employees, but we have about 17 day-to-day volunteers, interns, and that sort of stuff, which supports our organization. And last year alone, we served over 1,100 people. So we have a pretty big impact for being a pretty small organization. Mm-hmm. So we are launching Barriers to Boardroom. We actually informally already launched it, but formally launching at the end of this month, which is just a fundraising campaign where we're trying to raise $100,000 by the end of the year to help support us with capacity building. So that way we can hire additional staff and be able to better support our clients with critical needs. So we have clients coming to us that need, transportation. So I need a bus pass, I need food, gift cards, that sort of stuff. And so we're trying to raise that $100,000 to be able to help support people on their employment journey. So that way we can get them employed. And so, so we are currently launching that campaign if anyone wants to help support us.
How would they do that?
They can go to our website, which is hireoc.org. And we do have a link on there. And we will be getting set up again by the end of the month, the formal campaign. But in the meantime, we do take donations and then it will contribute to the campaign throughout the year.
So let's talk about the future. What's your vision for your organization?
I have big visions. I have lots of them. I've been working on it for a long time. But what we're currently working on is an extremely large growth plan as well. And so we are in the process of developing and opening the county's first workforce reentry training facility. It's going to be kind of an all-in-one facility where we will have program training. So H.I.R.E will be on site doing our normal programming, helping train individuals for employment. having housing. So for people who need that housing or that kind of like step up while they're getting stable. And then we're also going to have commercial operations on site. So my consulting company will be on site. And then we're also having kind of for-profit businesses. So that way people who are in the program are able to get jobs as a stepping stone before they go out to employment. So we're currently developing that here in Orange County, and I have big plans to develop these in other places as well, because the need is definitely out there. So.
And I know it's maybe it's premature, but do you know where in Orange County you'd like your physical facility to end up?
Yeah, so we're currently working within the city of Orange. I won't disclose everything yet, but it is in the city of Orange that we're working on. And so, yeah, we're currently working with the county of Orange, and then also our like developer and construction and architect partners as well for that.
Well, the magnitude of the need is surprising to me. It's not because you told me about it in the briefing that we had earlier, but when you told me the first time, I had no idea. 55,000 is a big number in my mind. If I'd have guessed, I don't know what I would have guessed, but I don't think it would have been in that order. So you really are attacking something that is pretty important and very pervasive here in Orange County. And I commend you, Meghan, for committing your talent and resources to this effort. And I want to thank you for being a guest on the show. But tell us again, if someone would like to learn more about your organization, how do they find you online?
Yeah, people can find us pretty easily. Both of my companies are on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And then I'm also on all those as well to find me. But yes, so feel free to reach out. We would love to connect with you, get you involved, volunteers, employers, you name it.
Thank you for your time today. I've enjoyed talking with you and learning about what you're doing.
Likewise. Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome. And thanks to the audience. You're a part of Orange County's longest running business talk show. Meghan's show is now a part of our permanent archives, which are fast approaching 1,500 episodes. If you're an Orange County entrepreneur like Meghan, or a nonprofit leader like Meghan, and you would like to be a guest on our show to share your story, then reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm Rick, R-I-C, Franzi, F-R-A-N-Z-I. Coincidentally, that's also our company's website, rickfranzi.com. And either our producer, Haley Stern, or I will help to talk with you about being a future guest on the show. And until we have a chance to be together again, I hope all of your decisions will move your organization in a positive direction.